Coming up tonight on Our News, the bodies of the victims from that helicopter crash that killed 7 off Big Grand Key identified. The Chamber of Commerce CEO says the Bahamas is far behind with renewable energy. A former attorney general talks moving the capital to another island. Plus, DJ Ignite heats up the summer.
Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News, the weekend edition, and thanks for joining us. I'm Kyle Joaquin. Top news tonight, families of the 7 victims of that July 4th helicopter crash off Big Grand Key that killed American billionaire Chris Klein have arrived in Nassau and have positively identified their loved ones. They have been identified as 61-year-old Christopher Klein, his daughter, 22-year-old Cameron Klein, 21-year-old Brittany Searson, 22-year-old Jillian Clark, 52-year-old Jeffrey Lee Painter, 57-year-old Davis Jude, and 23-year-old Wakyle Lee. Chief Investigator of the Air Accident Investigation Department, Delvin Major, told Our News today salvage crews were at the crash location since yesterday, working to pull the helicopter from the water. He said a barge is also present to transport the wreckage to Florida, where the investigation into how and why the chopper crashed will begin. Well, as Bahamas Power and Light continues to grapple with its power generation issues, Bahamas Chamber of Commerce CEO Jeffrey Beckel says all this could have been avoided if the country wasn't so far behind with renewable energy.
Because when we look at the resources available to us, sun, salt water, we call hydro energy, we have wind. It would have been great for us to have been having these discussions as the Bahamas progresses. I know that we have significant interests in these areas, not only from within the Bahamas, but regionally and globally. And then when we look at other jurisdictions who have taken advantage of alternative energy sources, obviously we're lagging a bit behind, and we'd like to see that discussion advanced.
For the past 3 weeks, BPL customers in New Providence have had to deal with load shedding hours at a time. Despite this, the company's chairman said they aren't dealing with a crisis. BPL is currently in the process of installing a few rental generators with hopes of easing the burden during the peak summer months. But the chamber CEO says he wishes the country took advantage of the natural resources available.
I'm confident, though, that the Bahamas government is embracing opportunities now, because when you realize where we are in our power generation mode, whether you want to call it a crisis or not, we're there. And it's now time for us to take a hard look at how we find the solutions, because we can no longer put paint on or lipstick on this pig. We have to literally find a reasonable solution, and then keeping in mind that the Bahamas will continue to expand. It will continue to grow. New businesses will come on stream. New houses will be built. New investment properties are going to come on stream. The question, though, is how do we find a solution to these issues?
With the nation's 46th anniversary of independence just days away, former Attorney General Alfred Sears is encouraging the nation's leaders to think outside the box and relocate the country's political capital to the largest island in the country. Jasmine Brown reports.
I propose that we create a capital city outside of New Providence.
Sears made the comments in a recent interview with our news team. He insisted the relocation would spur the ailing Andros economy.
It will inspire the Bahamian diaspora, and we should ensure that we create a platform for entrepreneurial opportunity for Bahamians. You know, I live in a country where it's a disadvantage to be a citizen, to access the cash contribution as we give to Atlantis and Bahama and other foreign-owned enterprises, to access concessions and exemptions. We treat foreigners more favorably. Then let us use this project to begin to treat Bahamians with priority in terms of entrepreneurial opportunities, ownership, and at the same time modernize the political architecture of our country.
Sayers went on to explain how he thought it would be accomplished. He said the government could assign 50,000 acres of Crown land into a capital city investment corporation to be leased to entrepreneurs for up to 50 years.
In Andros, the government owns 96% of the land. The government, in terms of dry Crown land, we're talking about over 100,000 acres of dry Crown land. The Bahamas gave Wallace Grove 50,000 acres of Crown land to build Freeport in 1958. So let us put about 50,000 acres of Crown land to build a modern, smart capital city that reflects the best tradition of small island sustainability.
He added that incentives would include exemptions from customs duty, real property tax, and value-added tax. Reporting for our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
All right, thanks, Jasmine. Still to come, the PLP chairman calling for answers. Find out for what. Plus, DJ Ignite set to heat up the summer. Stay tuned.